Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of the Survivor Squared podcast. It's abnormal, releasing early in the week. It's because I have a very special guest, Mr. Matt Bischoff from season 26, Caramoan, one of the fans on Fans vs. Favorites Part 2, is coming on to talk all things Survivor. We get into why he wants villains to be brought back, what he thinks of the current season 49, and of course, how much he hates tribe switches. That's how we got introduced. I made a very silly video on this podcast about how much I hate tribe switches and how much luck is involved. And Michael Snow, another competitor on that season, saw that video, linked me with Matt and how much they both hate what happened to them due to a tribe switch. And here we are. Social media is insane, but this is what this channel's for. Not only the normal show where me and Bailey Buff break down what's going on in season 49 and all things Survivor, but also bringing on guests, past players, people who are playing right now to talk about the world, to talk about Survivor, and we're having a blast doing it. So if you want more of the Survivor Squared channel, give me a like, give me a subscribe, help this channel grow. I do truly appreciate it. But now, let's get into my conversation with Matt Bischoff. It was truly special. I had a blast talking about it. I think my favorite part is him talking about how much he loves Rizzo and his poor Cincinnati Bengals. But I don't want to spoil anything else. Let's get to it. So right after this awkward transition, here's Matt Bischoff. As I said in the intro, I cannot break some subjects down alone. I need to bring in the experts. I need to bring in the people that have been there, touched the sand themselves. And as you saw in the thumbnail, as you heard in the intro, today is a very, very special guest. He played on season 26. He got screwed over by a tribe switch, which led to me yelling about it and led to us having this conversation today. So please welcome into the show to go over season 49, to go over seasons past, to go over everything in between, Mr. Matt Bischoff himself. Come on in, Matt. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much. And before we came on, I was telling you, it's nice to be on this end of the podcast because I was doing a podcast, the reality after show with Johnny Fairplay. I was doing that for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And right after season 48, I stopped. So this is the first thing that I've done since I stepped away from the podcasting world. And I'm super excited. And I don't do this too often anymore. But I'm pumped, especially when I first saw you, Michael Snow, my dear friend from Survivor Caramoan, kind of tagged me on a post you did, and it really started pissing me off again, just rewinding my whole season. It's once you play Survivor, it just becomes part of you. It's in your blood, and Survivor is one of the most amazing things I've ever done. And years later, I get to talk to people like you about this crazy game we all love.
It truly is a remarkable thing because I come from the world of sports. That's where my background was, and I just started touching this Survivor stuff recently. Like, I'm not lying. When I have these recaps every week, I'm going through these seasons week by week. So when I saw your season, that was the 26th week I've watched Survivor, So like, we're catching up as I go. So I'm learning all these names, all these gameplays, all these tactics, and then still seeing all of you guys and how deep this community is, and how Snowy and you still have a conversation, how you worked with Johnny Fairplay to do the podcast, how this stuff is still in you. It's not just like, oh, that was a time in my life. It's like, this is such a big community out there. It's really special to see. And again, I can't thank you enough. I can't thank Snowy enough for having you on here. And I'm sorry to drudge up any bad feelings about what happened to you on 26, because I loved you guys. I really did. The fans in that season, the fan tribe, there were a lot of special characters, and you included, man. I thought you presented yourself very well in that edit. So I will commend you on that. Were you nervous at all after this island thing happened? Because they can do whatever they want with the footage. They can make you look a certain way. Were you hesitant at all that this might not come off this way, or were you happy the whole time being like, I can't wait to see myself on TV?
Well, I was confident in production of Survivor that they would, I'm a nice guy. I'm an honest guy. I didn't feel like there was anything that I did that was going to be shady looking. And I will tell you this, I was on the show Miami Inc. It's a reality show back on TLC. I was on Miami Inc. I've hosted a lot of like live BMX events for like the Dew Tour, just events like that. And in the 90s, from 92 to 98, I did my own public access at the time. Before YouTube, there was something called public access television. I hosted a music video show weekly from 92 to 98. We interviewed bands. We had local bands come in our studio. I was used to being in front of the camera and a big personality before Survivor. So I go on Survivor. I fit right in, right? I think it's a major shock to people that have never had, radio or TV or anything like that experience. It's a real big shock. There was so much stuff that I wish they would have shown on the show that they didn't. My funny side, I'm cracking jokes, and humor is a big part of my life, making people laugh, having fun. I think I came across in a more serious tone on Survivor, but I feel like I'm like, holy shit, I'm out here playing Survivor, and I was being very strategic, and I took the game very seriously, and I was so focused on the mental part of the game that my normal hilarious self was not really shown. So if I was to go back on again, I know how production works. I think it would be a completely different ball game. As a fan, it was a trip, dude, like playing Survivor, because half the fans tribe on my season, Survivor Caramoan, were not fans. They were recruited.
Oh.
It is a lie.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have to cast a certain deal.
Yeah.
So it's called fans versus favorites, but the majority of people in my tribe never even watched a single episode of the show.
That's amazing. Was that a little like, as you were a fan, was that a little bit intimidating? Like, when did you know that the theme was going to be fans versus favorites? And when you got on there and you saw the people that you're going to be playing against, was there like, okay, I have to step my game up? Like, when did those moments occur?
I don't think I knew until like right before we were going out to film that it was fans. They didn't tell us, right? So like, and I'm in pregame. You stay at a house. I was in the Philippines. I'm in this house with all of my tribe,
That's
the
amazing.
Go-To tribe. But there's zero talking.
Yep.
So they have CBS people like monitoring you. No talking. There was zero talking until we hit the beach.
Yeah.
However, there's a lot of body language and like, look. I was looking at Michael Snow. Michael Snow was trying to weave these palm fronds, and he's like, looking at me, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and it was so funny. And so even though there's no talking, there's still a visual bond.
Yeah.
That you start. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But when we finally got out there, and it's like, welcome to Survivor Caramoan, and bring in the favorites, and all the helicopters started coming in. There was no one that I was like super intimidated by, to be honest with you. I was kind of like, oh, this is awesome. As a fan, I get to play with or against, etc., with these people. And so it was awesome. Like I wouldn't trade it. However, I do wish I would have like been on an all newbie season of Survivor, because fans' favorites is the most not fair season of all time. The favorites, they know they're going out to play Survivor.
Yep.
They have pre-made alliances
Yep.
on the telephone before they go out there. And their alliances were, if we switch tribes, like the favorites are staying together, till merge, right?
Yep.
So it's completely BS.
I got that sense not only in your season, definitely the first time they did fans versus favorites, but the second time with you guys, it was pretty apparent that there was a divide that was never going to come together. So let's get into it. The reason why we got connected is because on the recent season of Survivor 49, a few episodes back, they had a random tribe switch where they pick buffs out of a hat, drop your buffs. It's a special moment. They go down to 2 tribes. They did this kind of unknowingly because they had a medical evac and all these sudden things happened. They suddenly were down to X amount of people, made the divide work. And I made a big stink about it and got some people angry at me about it, because I truly have been watching all these seasons and I have come to hate random tribe switches. I like ones that are strategic, which we can get into later, but when there's just a random buff pull, it can't not hurt someone at some end. Someone is automatically thrown to the bottom through no fault of their own. And in this season in particular, 2 guys on the old yellow tribe, the Hina tribe, Matt and Jason, were voted off immediately the next 2 episodes because they were thrown to the bottom due to this tribe switch. You guys got word of this and tagged each other, and then that drew up old feelings for you because your switch in particular was also something sudden happened, and suddenly someone left and they had to fix things on the fly. And there were X amount of fans and X amount of favorites, and they threw the buffs down and did a tribe switch where each tribe had 4 favorites and 3 fans, and you guys were easy pickings. So I want to go through that with you. As a man who knew the game, as a man who knows strategy and was coming in to play this game, and you kind of knew what was to come, when that switch happened, what was was it already defeated in your head, or were you like, gear up, let's go, we got to start playing? Or like, how How did that affect you on the island versus after everything was done?
First of all, I felt that I had a great game going leading up to this tribe swap. Like
100%.
Michael and I had a solid alliance. I get along with all people. I was in an alliance with Sherry and Laura and Julia, and super confidence. No, my name was never on the chopping block in anything that was going on. So we go to the tribe swap, and it was like, in the moment when I'm on the island, it was such a shock because now I'm like playing with people I was like a fan of, right? And it was, and then it was like, oh no, I realized that I'm on the tribe with all the older non-athletic people. We look over and see Eddie and Reynold and Eric Reichenbach and all the athletic people. I'm with Philip, Cochran, Michael, Julia. Oh no, this sucks. Like, I was not very confident going into the immunity challenge that we lost.
Yep.
And I spent 3 days trying to make relationships with Don and Philip and Corinne and Cochran. And I felt I had really good relationships going. However, when I look back, I realized that the person that I thought was going to have my back the most was Dawn, because we were both parents. Like, I was a BMX rider. Her son was a BMXer. She's like, oh my God, my son's going to freak out. I felt like I had this bond with Dawn after watching Dawn's first season.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, I got Dawn. Dawn was the one that wanted me out of the game. She knew I was a threat, right?
Yep.
So like the second when I was at tribal council, man, like the second my name was written down for first vote, Matt, I knew. I was looking down at my feet and looking down at the sand. I knew my game was over. It was devastation, especially because it was an unfair, this tribe swap. I didn't choose to do that. And, production does these things. And like we saw in 49 a couple weeks ago when Matt, the dreadlock dude, got out, it's like, it's complete BS. If you can vote out somebody based off of, outwit, outplay, outlast, we voted you out, we blindsided you, I am totally cool with that. When production gets involved to a degree where there is so much luck involved and so much BS, I don't think it makes for a better viewing experience for the audience. And for the players, it's complete bullshit.
I am in lockstep with you, my guy. I 100% agree with you. Even if you weren't on the podcast, I would agree with your take on this. Like, this is not just me being nice. This is, to me, because I'm watching all these seasons at once here, and so I see the evolution of this game in various ways. I've seen them do tribe swaps before where strategy is involved, whether it's a schoolyard pick. In Gabon, it was a great season where they power ranked the players, and then suddenly that's what the game's going to be, and that's how the swap's going to be. There are ways to do this where you would have a hand in deciding your fate. You may still end up on a 4-favorite, 3-fan tribe, and you may still end up getting voted out later that day, but at least you had a hand in this switch. The fact that it's all the randomness of it is all up to luck. And even the physicality switches you brought to original split, even if it's a season of all newbies or fans versus favorites, like production does a great job of equalizing the teams in both intelligence and brawn and the abilities. So that way, when you have these challenges, everyone has a fighting chance. When it is luck like that and you end up with Don, with Philip, with Cochran, that's another level of unfairness to you. So as a former player and as a fan, if you know a switch is going to happen and they want to change the game and they come to you and they say, Matt, what's the best way for us to do this? How should we handle the switches? What would you say in sort of a guidance here?
Typically, I'm not a fan of schoolyard picks. However, in this situation, look, I'm all for it. You want to do a tribe swap? Pick 2 captains, schoolyard pick, I'm cool with it. Because at least I know there is a small percentage people that deserve to be in the game, back in the game.
100%.
And like I said, it's strategy.
Yeah.
So if you are like, oh, let's, vote this person out, you could easily,
you see the hierarchy.
But I think Yes, exactly. Be
Yeah.
more interesting.
Yeah, I made my bones about it. We've argued about it, but you have been watching season 49. There is so much going on. We're actually recording this, if we're going to break the fourth wall, right before the newest episode, so we might date ourselves a little bit, but I do want some predictions from you, some people you're rooting for, some people that have stuck out. There have been a lot of characters. We know a few of these people play in season 50, which is coming up. Is there anyone that has jumped on this off of the screen to you that you are either rooting for or rooting against? Anyone that sort of makes you turn on Survivor and get excited to watch?
If people say, "Oh, new era Survivor is sucky compared to old schools," like I watch Survivor. I know some people like stopped watching, like people that have played Survivor, friends of mine. They only watch Australian Survivor because they hate current U.S. Survivor. Look, to me, any U.S. Survivor, even if it's like a not a good season, is better than like being canceled and having no Survivor. I love Survivor. Do I love a lot of the new era stuff? Not really. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy, because I know Johnny Fairplay on his podcast, The Reality After Show, which I was on for 7 years with Johnny. I just stopped doing it. I'm stepping away from podcasting for a little bit. But I listened to their podcast, and they were getting a lot of crap in the comments for, all you guys do is talk smack on your hatred of 3 tribes and the this and the that. So I don't want to be like that, but I do want to be real. I just feel on this season, like I'm not hating it, but there's not anyone I like super love or super hate. Back in the day, you're watching all these seasons, right? You have Russell Hansons and the Johnny Fairplays, the Boston Robs, the coaches, the Cerise, the heroes and the villains. There's no one that I really hate or despise. I want to hate or despise someone on one of these tribes so that when I'm watching a challenge or watching things around camp, I can be like, man, I hope these good guys vote these jerks out. There's no heroes and villains. Everyone's just kind of like kumbaya. Everyone's happy. Everyone's cool. It's a fun experience, yada, yada. But I just feel the cutthroatness is not there. So no one this season has stood out in a major way. So I'm looking right now at the cast photos. I will say this. Rizzo is a natural at doing a confessional.
Yep.
He's got some of the best confessionals this entire season. Do I think, all right, ZZ, G-O-D, the Riz... Do I think that's cheesy? Yes, but that's why I love it.
Yeah.
Riz God, one of my favorite players this season, okay?
Yeah.
Sage, her blatant behind the back, when she's like looking at the cameras, right? Breaking the fourth wall, like with her. I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that she is annihilating her competition in her confessionals. I think she could be a villain. And I think she's playing it real and fierce. Jake, something that, I'll say this since I played, I never saw a single snake in the Philippines. Now, there are dangerous animals, right? But the fact that Jake got bit by that snake is pretty insane. Because if it would have really released venom, he could have died. So that's the reality. When you sign up to play Survivor, you sign this crazy document. Like, I could die playing, right? And so they take it very seriously. So when you saw the show with the medical, that was not made up for TV. It was chaos, and it was a very serious situation. So like when Brandon Hantz on my season had that mental health breakdown, is what I would, complete
that's a great
meltdown.
way to put it.
Jeff was massaging him. It was super intense. And I said, I'm witnessing something that I've never seen on Survivor. And then, afterwards, Jeff makes sure we are like, hey, that was pretty gnarly. Is everyone good? So they really try to take care of the cast. So when they were really taking care of Jake, I was like, good for them. But I hated to see him go.
Yeah.
Because he was like a beast of a character, a very likable guy. And I just think he was just this positive energy. on TV that I would have liked to seen him.
He also, I like Jake. I think Jake stuck out as well because he had that hint of mischief in him, like that silly stealing of a shoe. Like he wasn't afraid to just throw a hint of something else out there. And I do agree with you that Rizzo sticks out because of how honest he is in the confessionals, how unique he is. Sage with her stuff to camera, and I want to touch back on a point where you say how it's tough to find that true villain or that true hero because you can only be a hero if you have a villain. Like you can only be how the opposites attract. Like you have to have the yin and the yang. But the thing I'm trying to have, because I've been on other Survivor podcasts and I've talked to other people who watch this show religiously, and I wonder, have the people on this show, have the people wanting to be on Survivor gotten too smart for the show? Because they know if they come off like a villain, they're going to be treated a certain way, especially in today's world of social media and everyone can rip you apart. Shannon Fairweather, who was kicked out, you can agree with her or disagree with her. She is being ripped apart online from all angles because of the way she was presented on CBS. So when you come out as... If a Russell came out and played today, he may not give an F and just go for it and just be himself still. But he also knows doing that, you're never going to win because the villain nowadays gets voted off early. The person who comes out and plays really hard from the get-go gets voted off early. They're too big of a threat. The people on the show seem to have gotten too smart for the show, or am I looking too deep into that?
No, I think you're right. That's why we see people who make 3D printed puzzles in the past to, they know what's going to go down, so they practice. Here's how, this is going to be something that I usually speak on the opposite end of this, but the way you could get away with that is to recruit all people that have never really seen much Survivor. Do not cast super fans at all. And there was a time where I was anti-recruit people, right? Like recruiting, for those listening, is, let's say the casting person is at a bar, they look over and see someone like me. Look at that tattooed bearded guy. We should walk up and see if he'd want to apply for our show. That's recruiting versus a fan going to CBS.com and applying. Here's the thing. Where I stand in 2025 to make a better show is less super fans that don't have a Survivor checklist, that are not in awe of Jeff Probst and Tribal Council. They don't give a shit. They're there solely to win $1 million. People are excited to be on TV and try to gain followers on social media and try to do something after their stint on Survivor. Let me just tell you this, people. Is Survivor popular still? Yes. But there's so many seasons, no one gives a shit. Like, once your season's over with, for the most part, no one cares. And people like Lex Vandenberg and the Johnny Fairplays and the people that the Rob Sesterninos, the Big Toms, those people made a ton of money on appearances and events back in the first 10 seasons of Survivor. They were like true rock stars. Anytime Johnny and I would go to the Cincinnati Reds baseball game, the amount of people that would notice Johnny Fairplay, he is a rock star to this day. He's a washed up reality villain from years ago. He somehow made a living, dude, for the last 20 years from some grandma lie he did. And people still love him or hate him. There's a lot of people that hate him. Probably more people hate him than love him. I love him. But people recognize the shit out of him. If I went to the Reds game with anyone from the new era of Survivor, it just does not have the same rock star appeal that it once did. I think Survivor Season 50 that we're going to see is going to be, as much as I'm bummed that a lot of my friends got cut last minute, Abby Maria, Jerry Manthe, etc. I think it's going to be a killer, fun season, and I think it's going to be something good for the new era fans, someone like you that's a newer Survivor fan, and old school fans.
I had Eva Erickson on as one of my first guests on here because season 48 was the first season I watched live, and she was a wonderful guest. But she mentioned how she connected with Rizzo because he talks the way her and her friends talk, like the actual. And I think Nate makes a point of it in season 49, how they say everything's cinema and the vibes and all this stuff. Like that's the language that Eva and that generation is using. So I do believe you're right. The fact that Rizzo's getting on TV at age 25 or whatever he is does speak to a younger generation that might attract new viewers that love Rizzo, and Rizzo's their entry point into Survivor. You know, it's so much fun to go back and watch these seasons now, especially now, knowing that all these fans are here. Because even me making a video about talking about your season, I really didn't like Dawn, and I made it clear about my opinion. And I had arguments in the comments about people who liked her, didn't like her, was on Brenda's side, was on this side. This season happened, 14 years ago, and people are still fired up about it, and that's the beautiful part of it. So it makes me happy to watch it, makes me happy to make these videos, makes me happy to talk to someone like you. It's fantastic all around, and the community is definitely still there. I will say, you said Cincinnati Reds. I knew you were a Cincinnati guy. Sorry about your Bengals. I am a football guy first and foremost. I'm so sorry about your Bengals.
Dude, well, I'll make this very brief. So I was a BMX bike rider, right, my whole life. So
Yeah.
I was not really like a sports guy.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I watched the Bengals with my dad and stuff. But then I thought football and sports, it's stupid, it's lame. I was a big music guy. And so I didn't watch football at all, dude, until the Bengals went to the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. And I started watching it, dude, right? And I was like, holy shit. What have I been missing? I've been making fun of like dudes running around in tights playing this stupid game for years. Dude, I was like so pissed I missed out. And so like everyone's like, Matt, you went from being like thinking football was lame to being the #1 Bengals fan. I'm buying jerseys, I'm buying hats, Joe Burrow socks, hosting parties, like crying when like T. Higgins makes a touchdown. Like, what have I become? But dude, the Bengals this year, it's heartbreaking because that high of the Super Bowl, and then how accident prone Burrow's been, and then these games, even with Joe Flacco, or Flacco, however you say it, he's been killing it on offense. Our defense sucks, and so I'm no expert, but I am a huge fan.
That's amazing. See,
Hooday, baby.
Even like me with Survivor, I'm a new fan and I've fallen in love with it. You with football, you're a new fan. You're right in the boat, baby. You've fallen in love with it. Two more things I want to hit on before I let you go because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do thank you for coming on and having the conversation with me. But one thing you mentioned earlier about how Johnny Fairplay is still a rock star. And then all these new players are coming, and they do. Some of them don't, if they haven't had that acting background before, that radio background, this might be a new thing for them. Especially the eyes when it comes to social media after the fact, people talking about them on Twitter, getting clips from them, either making fun of them or rooting for them, you're fans of them, whatever. You guys all dealt with this, and I do want to ask, do you have any advice for the people playing right now, season 49, their season is airing, about how they might not be able to walk into a Starbucks and not have someone go, oh, it's such and such or so-and-so? Like, do you have any advice for them on how to deal with this newfound celebrity kind of overnight that they've attained here?
Well, like you said, if you've never experienced it, like if you're just a normal everyday person and then you get on national television, it is crazy. When I played, everywhere I went, I have a recognizable look. I had this big dreadlock beard, long hair, tattoos. Everywhere I went during my season being aired, I could not go anywhere without getting recognized. Hey, let's get a photo. Can I get an autograph? I was cool to everybody. Not all Survivor players are cool to the fans. They think they're like holier than thou. Me, I'm a huge fan. So like, I'm excited to talk to the fans, and knowing that I'm like touching someone's life or making someone's day because they met a reality star. Like, I love being able to talk to people. So, but here's the thing. Social media is 10 times more brutal than it was when I played. My season aired in 2013. Yes, there was the internet and message boards, etc. Now things are so gnarly, and death threats that people do to reality stars, and it's very scary. And people fail to realize when they're on their phones typing or making these comments, these are real people playing Survivor or any other of these TV shows with real feelings. If I saw a comment that said, this guy looks like a bearded homeless troll, like, F this guy, those words could like hurt somebody's feelings if you don't have thick skin. And I don't care how thick your skin is. The things that people say, I know you had Eva on. There was people that were like, she was amazing. And people giving her crap online. So like, people are going to talk shit on everybody. You cannot take that to heart, and you cannot let that get to you. So one piece of advice would be don't even read the comments, because if you do, you're going to be depressed. However, if you are going on reality television, you have to know in advance you are setting yourself up for potential life-changing events and things around the reality. You could get a stalker. You could get fired from your job for something that you said on national television, right? You could just be completely blacklisted from the community. So have fun with it, right? So like take every opportunity to do every podcast you can, because your window of trying to be a star is only so big. And, I luckily was able to, go from my time on Survivor to, being with Johnny on his podcast for years. And I do a lot of other creative things. And I love the Survivor community. That's why I'm doing your show. So my advice, get on social media. Don't take these comments too seriously, and just enjoy it. It's a once in a lifetime experience.
That's wonderful. I do appreciate that. And Eva did say a very similar thing. So I think you're right on the money with that. And I do appreciate the enjoy the ride aspect of it. Like you are on a ride, and don't throw your hands in the air and let that roller coaster go, baby. I do like that a lot. Last question. If for anyone listening, for anyone watching, or maybe even for a man with a big nose and blue eyes that's asking you this question that wants to be on Survivor in the future, is there anything you would say that they can do in their audition to stick out if they are sending in an audition tape? Is there one thing that you would guide them to do in order for them to get above the pile when CBS Casting is looking at all of these?
Yep, it's very easy. Be yourself, be authentic. If you are watching Survivor, they cast the whole show as if you could do a good confessional or not. Mm-hmm. They are casting storytellers. If you suck at storytelling and can't do a confessional, they're not going to even remotely put you on their show, right? That's why Rizzo, the first time he sent in an audition video, casting called that dude. Boom, they're like, we have TV gold. It's all about the confessional.
Yeah.
Also, when you make your video, you need to explain who you are in your real life and how you're going to apply that to the game of Survivor and why you're going to win the $1 million. I would say, I'm going to do great in the challenges, yada, 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 because I ride BMX, I snowboard, blah, 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 blah. Then I start talking about other things. Like I have 1 million friends. I host tour events. I'm a BMXer. I sing in bands. It's going to be very easy for me to make friends. So in the social game, I'm going to kill it, right? It's applying real life scenarios to the game. It's not about crazy outfits, but as you always watch the show, Matt, who just got voted out, my name's Matt, he's the token long-haired bearded guy, right? Like I was. Yep. So they're always casting a specific character type on every season. And I will say, I do like a lot of the new era cast. I really do. However, I am a stickler for the old school Lynn Spillman casting. I think Lynn casted some of the greatest players of all time. And I think some of the newer school casting, I mean, we've seen people that can't climb a ladder, that Brandon dude, he's a big fan. So mad props to him. But yeah, but he can't climb a ladder. You have, people that quit because, I just quit smoking yesterday. And I can't be without my cigarettes. Quitters and people like that, it's just kind of lame, and they should not allow those kind of people to be put on Survivor.
I agree with you. And I can't thank you enough for coming on this show, talking with me for so long. If you want more from Matt Bischoff, he's on Instagram at the Matt Bischoff. I am Tony Squares, but again, Matt, I have so many more questions to ask you, so many more things to dive into. I didn't ask you about your beard. I didn't ask you about any past Survivor things. It was just too much talk about everything that's going on. The beard is still miraculous, my friend. But hey, thank you for coming on, and go Joe Burrow. Hopefully he gets healthy soon.
Hell yeah. Cheers, everyone. Love you all. Take it easy.
And that is it for a very special episode of the Survivor Squared podcast. Thank you so much to Matt for coming on. Thank you so much for Snowy for introducing us. And again, if you like this conversation, you want more of it, head to the Survivor Squared channel. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, help this channel grow. I'll be back later on in the week after the latest episode of season 49 with Bailey Buffs to break down all things Survivor. And until then, I'm terrible at outros.